Hi guys, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and we are back in our series of decoding Crowley's Thoth Tarot and understanding it better because it is a difficult deck. The last video that we did in the series, we're really trying to understand the deck before we even get and start with the Fool card, okay? So this is the book I highly recommend you get. It is not easy to find. It's not on your average bookstore shelf, probably because of this name right here. And that's okay. And in other videos we talked in the beginning of this book about how to get over that and then just use the cards. Like not, if you don't... yeah, you don't have to be a satanic witch to use Crowley's deck. I don't even know if Crowley was a satanic witch, but I love his research in magic, the things that he's done, and how it adds to what I do in my practice. I use a lot of his uses in addiction magic, and they work amazingly well. I've read his books on his trials with addiction, and how he used magic to get through it. And I will do a review on Diary of a Drug Fiend, which is the book that I'm talking about. I got so much advice on addiction magic from that book. I'd love to share it with you in a different video. So this video we are talking about the special characteristics of the Thoth Tarot, okay, and how it's different from other decks. So let's just start. I need a little thing go down the pages. This is another one that we read from, but it doesn't have any information until we get in the actual cards. It's a vintage book written by Crowley, and it's not big. It's a thin kind of almost booklet. Okay, so let's start the reading. The special characteristics of the Crowley Tarot. Let me take a drink of water. I don't have my water in here. That's gonna have to be okay. Oh, no, there it is. Okay. Here we go. While the earlier tarot cards illustrated their topic in the more or less simple form of a pictorial narrative, Crowley abstracted the motifs by expressing the meaning of the cards in a complex symbolism stemming from the world of magic, astrology, alchemy, and the Kabbalah. He was really, really interested in the Kabbalah. The traditions of Mediterranean cultures and Celtic peoples, and particularly also the secretive mythology on ancient Egypt. He was very into ancient Egypt. Obviously, it's called the Thoth deck. His cards thereby gained a great power of fascination. That's why I bought them. I was fascinated. Really, the man fascinates me. Everybody has a balance of good and evil, and what people talk about is his evil side, but not a lot of people talk about his good side. Well, I'm here to talk about that, Sorry. It's a hard topic for me. His cards thereby gained a great power of fascination, but they became difficult for the layman to understand. And again, if this is the first deck that you've purchased, like it was my first deck that it was my first thing I ever purchased for witchcraft. I was just into herbalism before witchcraft. It's really hard to understand, and that's why I'm doing this whole series. This series might be 100 videos long. I'm going to do these videos until I feel super confident with you guys. Like, that's my journey with this series, so I'm excited. Crowley's book, in which he readily addressed dark allusions of the symbolism, was published at the same time, yet it did not do much to help the situation. The book raised more questions than it answered. The illustrations of the minor arcana that Arthur Edward Waite had introduced were not adopted by Crowley, since he had already rejected Waite's work and liked to ridicule it. Instead, Crowley brought each card into close correlation with an astrological constellation. However, since the significance that he associated with them frequently diverges from the contemporary prevalent understanding of astrology, this access to interpretation frequently tends to be too confusing for the layman. this very popular contemporary tarot is, then, among those that are the least understood. And that's, again, why I'm so fascinated with it. It's the least understood. Look it up, it's true. And that's what people say about it. So, you and I mean, if you're watching this video, you probably are the layman just like me, where we are having a really hard time understanding this and we want to get into it, so let's do it, you know. Okay, so then he starts talking about the three magi, okay? The three magi belonging to the 80 cards of the new version of Crowley's Tarot, which are considerably improved typographically and photographically in 1986, have been a source of particularly great confusion. The speculations as to possible meanings and secretive origins of the two new magi have led to quite imaginative explanations. Of the three magi, who followed the Star of Bethlehem up to the black Magus, the white Magus, and the third who unites these polarities within himself? Kind of reminds me of a triangle, okay? And I love to do things in threes, so this is resonating with me. Correct is a secular explanation, and another possibility is a deep esoteric one. According to information given by the manufacturer of the cards, a man by the name of Werner Gassner was responsible for the new edition of the cards. While looking at the original drawings at the Warburg Institute in London, he discovered that there are 80 cards on display there. Lady Frida Harris had painted 3 designs of the Magus card, which Crowley only accepted 1. Yet since the other two, I would love to see the other 2 paintings. Yet since the other 2 also had an intense symbolic power, Werner Gassner suggested that they be added to the tarot deck as collector's pieces. That's awesome. Leaving the choice of the Magus to the buyer. According to it, so does that mean that there are editions with extra ones? And you could purchase either this or that? Like, if you know if that's out there, please let me know. I need to know about that. Or if you know how to look it up or figure it out. Those collector's pieces. Leaving the choice of the Magus to the buyer. According to his own statements, he had not considered expanding the tarot deck to 80 cards in the process. The 2 new magi. We can thank Harold Scoots Steiner for Munster for the esoteric perspective. In this book, Judas and Saint John Jur, Judas and his son Jur, the deepest Schutztheater deals with esoteric symbolism in the deepest manner and thereby impressively concludes that the 2 invisible tarot cards exist. Invisible tarot cards. You guys, this stuff is really cool. Really cool to know. It just makes you connect and understand with the deck. You know, like, invisible cards that you need to imagine are there. Store it in the Akashic Records, yeah? Okay, no. Everything's in the Akashic Records. Let's get back to the rough again. So, it concludes that 2 invisible cards. Tarot cards exist. He strictly refers to that which, in his opinion, is the only correct tarot, the Oswald Worth cards, in the version by Elizabeth Hayek, Haich. However, he comes to the conclusion that in the anthology of the 3 crazy days, in which we now find ourselves according to his world calendar, the 2 missing cards must be 2 further fools. What? So there's 3 people, because the fool is the journey. Like, the journey starts at the fool. You, or the person that you're reading for, I believe, to understand, is the fool. And then, you know, the journey, you know, goes along the way. I can't remember the order because so the things that the major arcana is like things you hit along the way, and the minor arcana is the rest of the journey. So it's this big, long kind of journey of the Fool. If there are 3 Fools, that just like really complicates things more, but maybe it will simplify it. Maybe. I'm really hoping that, because I like to work in 3s, so if there are really 3 people on this journey, very interesting. Is it the person you're reading for, you and spirit? Are those the 3 Fools? Like, because that's who I work with when I read, it's me, it's them, and it's spirit. So, God, I feel like this is all just kind of like trickling in and making a lot of sense. I don't know. Okay, so 3 crazy days and we should now find the 2 missing cards must be the 2 further Fools. Yet, his basic considerations can very well be transformed to the 3 Magi of the current Crowley Tarot. The essence of his considerations can be greatly simplified and condensed as follows. The inherent method of all the old numerical systems amounts to a system of 24, of which often enough 10% are invisible. Then, for example, the astronomically exact calculated duration of world epoch, the age of Pisces, age of Aquarius, etc., of 2160 years reflects only 90% of reality. There are actually 2400 years, of which in the new same way 10%, or 240, are invisible. 2400 minus 240 is 2160. I'm confused, but that may be something I need to come back to later. Or maybe it'll make sense in a minute. In the same respect, there are always 24 cards in and of the major arcana, of which, however, 10% rounded off to 2 cards were invisible. Viewed in this manner, the appearance of these 2 hidden cards would be a phenomena that fits very well into our age, in which most of that which has been kept strictly secret for centuries now enters the light of the public eye. At the same time, it is of absolutely no consequence how secular the explanation for the triggering step may be. Be that as it may, these 2 additional cards are still too new to give them a clear meaning. It must mean, then, be left up to each individual to experience and include them, or to leave the original structure intact. So it's your choice, how do you want to work it? Do you want to work with 1 Fool? Do you want to work with 3 Fools? I totally understand, if it's you, the person in spirit, how that could work. The 3 journeys, Okay. The way in which Aleister Crowley and Frieda Harris work together can be very well understood through these 3 cards. He gave her the inventory and she composed it into a work of art. Although the manner of consumption considerably differs, all 3 cards still have the same elements. For this reason, we have also refrained from adding the extra cards to the interpretive section, since the meaning of their symbolism can be looked up under that of the Magus accepted by Crowley. Further changes. Crowley called the cards of the major arcana ATU, a 2, and gave them some of the new names. Justice, 8, became Adjustment. So in the Rider-Waite book, or in the Rider-Waite deck, Adjustment is now in this deck Justice. Okay, that's the new name. No. Justice became Adjustment. So Justice is Rider-Waite, Adjustment is Thoth. The Wheel of Destiny, or 10, which had always been termed the Wheel of the Fortune in the Anglo-Saxon usage, it is called Fortune. Strength became Lust. Moderation became Art. Judgment became the Aeon, A-E-O-N, and the world became the universe. The only far-reaching change was in the 20th card, Judgment, the old redemption topic of which gave way to a new age, the Aeon, A-E-O-N. With the minor arcana, Crowley named the suit of coins, discs, a term that had already surfaced in the older tarot suits. An illuminating, although unprovable explanation of the idea is that the suit of the coins was traditionally associated with the earth element, in which in turn was considered to be a disc in the medieval picture of the world. In contrast, the remaining of the court cards is more significant and creates considerably more confusion. The traditional order of king, queen, knight, and page corresponds in Crowley's tarot to the order of knight, queen, prince, and princess. Okay? So not only is there changes in the major arcana and the name of the suits, but then also in the order of the patriarchy? What do you call it? The order of the, big ones. I don't know. Okay, next, in our next video, because right now, yeah, we're at 16 minutes, we will be talking about the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, and how Crowley, why it's a big part of this, why I hope they talk about, there's a great hour video on just the art of the back of this card. This folds up into a cube, and every part of this has like a part of the journey of the cards. It's amazing. So I hope it does talk about the art of that, okay? Alright. Come back with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, while we keep going through this book. It's so lovely in teaching us how to get through this Thoth Tarot. And come back with me so that we can figure it out.